Bill Cosby was denied parole because he wouldn't participate in any of the mandated sexual assault classes. So this petty back and forth with other control puppets is to snare you into a narrative to distract you away from the occult. My opinion, Ghislaine Maxwell, Bill Cosby, and all these high-profile sex offenders who are in secret societies are not getting the real jail treatment that the uninitiated citizen gets. Remember, they move in rituals and sacrifices. So the case of Bill Cosby, is he that innocent, which he has consistently proclaimed?
Bill Cosby and Taylor Swift.
Well, I guess it's time to leave.
Oh, but it's snowing out there.
Yeah, but I need to get home.
But it's snowing out there.
I really should go.
Oh, what's the hurry?
Say, what's in this drink?
That's just some Jello.
We all know the United States government, CIA's connection with Skull and Bones, Freemasons, and those protected bloodlines which used Playboy as a sex trafficking front and social experiment. Bill Cosby at the time was just the very few successful black men in Hollywood, so he was granted access into this world without rules or laws. Playboy After Dark was like a late-night variety show where Hugh Hefner invited friends, models, and celebs for kind of a fireside chat. And in this particular episode, Bill Cosby, which has never been used to discredit him, really details his sexual behavior in this clip.
I have here a surprise for you. I brought some of my own wine. Nurtured the grapes. Don't laugh, please. No, this is a very, very groovy special wine, which I've nurtured myself, made it at 21st and Godfrey. In a paper bag.
Sure you can spare that magnet?
Well, this is drinked it only by true winos. And a true wino is a man who will never take the bottle out of the paper bag. Because
Pour
he
a bag
doesn't
in there.
want to
We'll
know
try
when the
that.
end is coming. Would you like to taste some of
I
it?
would love to.
This is a 1962 vintage with a body. That's enough. May hurt you. May hurt yourself. Don't swivel it around. It evaporates quickly. A little lighting fluid in there to help the vintage move along quickly.
Yes, that's very smooth.
Would you like some more?
I'd love it.
Well, it's all gone. But don't worry. I'll make you some more tomorrow.
I don't understand how you can do that. I thought it was a long and complicated process.
It is. Because grapes are very special. They want you to kind of nurse them along a little bit, you see. They just don't want to be jumped on right away. First, you tenderly pluck. Actually, to make a grape wine, it's like making love. You just can't jump on a grape. Oh, I'm serious, you see. You have to take tenderly. Robert?
Right, absolutely.
A true Frenchman knows the vineyards of Romney County and places. We had a very good year at my house. The sun shone on them, and the rain fell, and now they are big and round and good and groupy, you see.
Groupy grapes.
Because if you just have one grape by himself, there's no friendship.
He's lonely.
Good grapes need other grapes around them so they feel healthy, you see. Yes, but not too many because then, you know, they don't get along. And you have apprehensive grapes. But a group of maybe 7 grapes, group of 7, warmly protecting each other, lifting up so that the rays can get in. You see, grapes do that. Now, so then you pluck with the finger and you talk to the grape, sneak up on it. See, now, grape, I'm not going to hurt you. And it goes, oh, is that it? And so then you pull, plucking nicely. You pull the grape down and you take it over and you lay it on a piece of nice cotton. Take off your shoe. Still talking to the grape. Take off your shoe. Talking nicely to the grape. And you say, now I'm not going to hurt you. And then you place the big toe on the grape. You can, see, if you do it with, sorry, if you do it with a little toe, see, it may squish out and roll all around, and then apprehension, anxiety, and things set in, and you have a sour grape. Well, that's what we've done here. Taking the big toe, and we've squished.
I think it's fair to speculate there's no wine in that bottle. And whatever it is must be lethal because he gave you such a small dose of it to probably prove trustworthy, so when he gives it to his victim, she would trust having seen Hugh drink it, and she would have ingested too much, and the rest is history. Now, to be able to go through all these victims, much like Epstein, Maxwell, and Weinstein, you have to be protected for so long by giving up blood.
Sad news today for embattled comedian Bill Cosby. His daughter, Ensa, has died. The 44-year-old, who appeared on an episode of The Cosby Show when she was a teen, spoke out last year in support of her father amid dozens of allegations of sexual abuse, which he denies.
I cannot sit quietly anymore. The man portrayed in the media today is not who my father is. I've seen the accusations become more horrific and extreme with time, and I've witnessed my father's reputation and legendary works be dismissed without any proof.
In 1997, Cosby's son, Ennis, was slain on a Los Angeles freeway during a failed robbery.
Well, it was a tip to the National Enquirer that led the LAPD to the suspected killer of Ennis Cosby, but now Bill Cosby may take legal action against the tabloid. At issue is an article that suggests the entertainer's wife, Camille, hired gunmen to find the killer. The Cosbys demand an apology and a retraction. According to their spokesman, if that doesn't happen, they'll sue.
Comedian Bill Cosby is threatening to slap the National Enquirer with a lawsuit. Cosby wants the tabloid to retract statements that suggest he and his wife hired a gunman to find their son's killer. He's demanding a retraction and an apology.
That's how secret societies deflect suspicion away from a sacrifice. This fake outrage and anger, just like what Vanessa Bryant has been doing since Kobe's death. Always playing the victim card, fake outrage. It's all controlled, all a narrative to raise an idol through grief or sacrifice. They say it was a botched robbery and not a hit, but if you look in his hands, he's still clutching a pack of cigarettes. There are other key clues that leads to a sacrifice.
Sorry, he was going to be late, but he had a flat tire. And Stephanie said, no, I'll come down and I'll help you. And in about 15 minutes, she arrived and she pulled up right behind Ennis, and she had her headlights on, which helped Ennis change the flat tire. So she's seated in her car, and all of a sudden there was a rap on her window, and the person said, "Get out of the car, I'll shoot." And she didn't know how to respond to that. She locked the doors and she accelerated and took off. At the same time, that person then walked over to where Ennis Cosby was changing the tire, and for whatever reason fired the gun, and Ennis Cosby was killed, and he fell dead right next to the driver's door of his car. Now, by that time, Stephanie had gotten all the way up to Mulholland Drive and turned around and came back down with her headlights on, and she could see somebody running away from Ennis Cosby's car, and that person got into a car and they took off. And she could see that Ennis was lying in a pool of blood right next to the driver's side. So she called 911. LAPD responded. They came out, and eventually homicide detectives arrived, and they took on the investigation. And they were trying to find any evidence of who was that person. Who was the person who shot Ennis, and why? What was the motive? So they were searching all over the car, and when they searched Ennis's body, they found the car keys there, and also his wallet and his cell phone. It didn't have the earmarks of a robbery, and they could tell it was truly a flat tire that Ennis had, and he was changing it. You can see by the grit on his hands.
If you look closely at the tire, you could tell a knife was poked through it before he even got on the road. The suspect waited for Ennis to pull off, followed him, and if Stephanie got there and pulled off after seeing the gunman, why didn't she warn Ennis or beep the horn? And why didn't Ennis run? Her story doesn't add up to me. She may have been a spotter to immediately call that the sacrifice was successful. Bill Cosby is not only a Prince Hall Freemason, but an Omega, just like Jordan is an Omega, who 4 years earlier lost his father to the same side of the road botched robbery accident.
Of the documentary The Last Dance were the scenes of Michael Jordan speaking about his late father, James.
He was my rock. We were very close. He constantly gave him advice.
For many, the documentary revived interest in the shocking 1993 murder of Michael's father. Now, a new docuseries is raising fresh questions about who killed him and renewing calls for a retrial. In the summer of 1993, James Jordan was found in a swamp, shot and killed. His vandalized red Lexus found dozens of miles away. Two childhood friends, 18-year-old Daniel Green and 17-year-old Larry Demery, were arrested for the crime. Authorities claiming that the two teens killed the elder Jordan during a botched robbery and that Green pulled the trigger. But now the 5-part series, Moment of Truth, airing on IMDb TV, questioning that verdict, re-examining the case through rarely seen crime scene photos, fresh interviews with key players, and never-before-heard audio tapes from the murder trial.
Why are they bringing this up? Probably to antagonize Jordan with guilt over his sacrifice, or just a narrative to lead you away from the occult side of it, since people are now being hip to human sacrifices by the elite, like they are trying to do with the sacrifice of Biggie Smalls. Race, black on black, rap beef, any storyline that distracts you away from the occult.
It is still far too early in the case of Mikhail Markasev to predict what might happen, but many believe that if there is a racial overtone in this case, the effects will be felt far beyond the courtroom.
Boy, L.A. at this point in time, after the Simpson case, after the Rodney King case, after the Reginald Denny case, you don't want another trial based on inflammatory racial issues. It's not good for the community.
ENNIS' murderer, on the day of his conviction, acted like he didn't have a care in the world, grinning, smiling, laughing, and people would see that, oh, he's a racist monster, just like George Zimmerman. And we do this race rioting over ignorance, like in 1992, and all of it being orchestrated by fraternal brotherhoods. Trayvon Martin's dad sacrificed his son. Bill Cosby sacrificed his daughter and son. This movie was called Let's Do It Again, and it was directed by Sidney Poitier. The plot of the movie was this black fraternal order of Shaka hypnotized or MK Ultra JJ from Good Time, who plays a boxer, into beating an opponent he would have definitely lose to.
You can beat any fighter in the world. You will win the championship.
These Masons of Shaka bet on their mind slave puppet to win. They make big money to buy a new temple. The gangsters they defrauded want in on the fix, and this is exactly how professional sports, especially boxing, is managed in plain sight.
What proposition? One that will get our money back, and at the same time we wipe out Biggie Smalls, put him out of business for good. The rematch between Farnsworth and 40th Street Black is coming up 1 week from tonight. The 6 of us in this room are the only people in the world that know what happened last time. Not Farnsworth, nor any of his people have the slightest idea what went down. Quietus has kept Farnsworth as his old self again. His sparring partners are knocking him around the ring. He lost that confidence you gave him, and now his punches can't break an egg. So? So you come back to Orleans and hypnotize Farnsworth again 3 days before the fight. So the whole world can see that he is back in winning condition, and everybody will want to bet on him. Me and my boys will cover those bets. Then on the morning of the fight, you will de-hypnotize Farnsworth, so when he climbs in that ring, he'll be his old scared self again. After the fight, we'll be even, and you'll be free to go.
I just wanted to show how far back these agendas and Masonic programming go, and that no real protected society member has ever taken a fall unless it was to expose what they want you to think only happens once. Like Donald Barr employing Epstein at Dalton to be a pedophile. Donald Barr writes a book on sci-fi child sex trafficking. His son Bill Barr is the attorney general when Epstein goes into custody. Epstein's fake suicide ends in Bill Barr removing the attorney general from Epstein's case.
Innanzitutto vorremmo chiedere come sta, abbiamo visto si è fatto male.
Ah, bene, no, al momento no, ma mi sono schierato lì per salutare I bambini e non ho visto il vetro e boom.
America is controlled by the Vatican. So all these sex rituals, pedophilia, abusing children, child sacrifice is all protected under their laws, not ours. We fall for the narrative American justice works for everyone, but that's a lie.